Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the BPM Change Management PRR Review Monthly Meeting. My name is Nicole Hines, representing ISO Customer Readiness, and I will be facilitating today's web conference. Today's call is being recorded. These recordings are for informational and convenience purposes only, and any related transcription should not be reprinted without the ISO's permission. As a reminder, these monthly calls are structured to stimulate an honest, open dialogue and engage in different perspectives. While we welcome comments and questions, please remember to keep comments professional and respectful. We will be taking questions throughout the call today. If you are dialed in by phone only and not on the WebEx, you can enter the question queue at any time by pressing #2 on your telephone keypad. If you connected audio through the WebEx platform, please use the raise hand feature located above the chat box on the lower right-hand side of your screen. And also, please introduce yourself before asking your question. If you need technical assistance during the call today, please send a chat message to the event producer so we can help work those out for you. The purpose of today's meeting is to discuss the proposed revision requests that are in the initial or recommendation stage for the process. We will be discussing 6 PRRs today. 1 is in the initial stage and 5 are in the recommendation stage, and all were ISO submitted. The purpose of the BPM is to set forth business practices that implement the ISO tariff. The ISO conducts a yearly policy initiative roadmap process to consider and rank initiatives. And policy changes submitted through the PRR process will be referred to the policy initiative roadmap process. Each subject area in the BPM is based on enabling language in the ISO tariff, and the PRR process cannot be used to introduce changes that are not supported by existing tariff authority. Our first PRR today is PRR 1366 in the initial stage for our settlements and billing BPM. This is to update the charge code 6456 intertie deviation settlement to exempt hour-ahead scheduling process market disruption intervals from intertie deviation and settlement penalty assessment. And I will be handing it over to Brenda to discuss this PRR.
Thank you, Nicole. So for this PRR, we have provided during a emergency, so it's emergency release related to the settlements. This is also done last week. So for this PRR, it was the reason we're doing it for the dispute process that was identified during the HASP market disruption intervals, as well for the IDS charge code that has calculating penalties based on the 0 HASP schedules, as well as the 0 values that does not accurately represent the actual instructions, followed by market participants. We also are doing this effective date of 2/1/2021 with the anticipated implementation date of 8/19 of 2021. And this also received an initial comment that we provided on our PRR form, which was asked about the implementation change. And we provided a description on that as well with the process that the HASP market intervals are identified now and corrected. So therefore, no dispute should be necessary for those instances. But other than that, it only impacts CISO resources, not EIM. So if you do have any questions, feel free to submit a comment. As well, we could participate in the settlement user group next week on Wednesday at 10 a.m. But as of now, if there's any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Thanks, Brenda. And again, the initial comment period for this PRR expires September 15th, so you have time to submit additional comments if you need to. The next BPM is our Reliability Requirements BPM, PRR 1364, which is correct bidding requirements for non-generating resource, which is non-generating energy management, is in the recommendation stage. And also PRR 1361, it's Resource Adequacy Enhancement Project Phase 1 Transition Process, also in the recommendation stage. And I'm going to hand it over to Melanie to discuss these 2 PRRs.
The first PRR is PRR 1364, which is the correct bidding requirements for non-generating resource or non-regulation energy management. The reason for this revision was for the RTM bidding requirements for non-generating resources must be updated to match the description in the tariff. There was a comment submitted by PG&E on 8/12/2021. This is currently under review. Once the comment is addressed, the next step is to post final decision. Is there any questions on this PRR?
As a reminder, if you have a question, please select #2 if you are on the phone, or the raise hand icon if you are dialed into the WebEx.
The second PRR is PRR 1361, which is for Resource Adequacy Enhancement Project Phase 1 transition process. The reason for this revision was to clarify the transition process relating to the tariff section 3.9.1.3.9. There were no comments submitted. The comment expiration period ended on August 17th. The next step is to post final decision. Is there any questions on this PRR?
All right, we're seeing no questions. Thanks, Melanie. The next 3 PRRs we're going to be talking about is for our Market Operations BPM. All 3 are in the recommendation stage. PRR 1363 is trajectory between real-time dispatch intervals. PRR 1362 is FERC Order 831 Phase 2 threshold logic. And PRR 1282 scheduling of export resources in the real-time market. And I'm going to hand it over to Jamal to discuss these 3 PRRs.
Thanks, Nicole. Good morning. We'll start with PRR 1363 for the Market Operations BPM. Actually, this is an update to a previous PRR 1312 that we have closed, and based on additional feedback that we've received, this revision reflects the ISO expectation that resource will follow their dispatch operating point between dispatch operating targets. And we added this as an emergency PRR and was implemented back in March 20th of this year. No comments submitted, and the recommendation comment period expired on August 17. And then our next step is to post the final decision. Is there any comment on this particular PRR? Okay, I'll move on to PRR 1362, also for Market Operations BPM. This revision was due to FERC Order 831 Phase 2 initiative related to the market threshold logic. We've added a new paragraph under Section 665. Also was an emergency PRR, and the effective date was in June 15, 21. No comments submitted, and recommendation comment period expired on August 17. And the next step for this PRR is to post the final decision. Any additional comment on this PRR? Okay, I'll move on to the final PRR 1282. Actually, this is an old PRR that we've put on hold for a while to address the market participant comments. The purpose is to improve the scheduling of resources in RUC and real-time process based on expected priorities for exports. This was actually implemented and effective last September 2020, September 5th to be exact. And we are looking into the comments that we've received and still working on them, on the responses, and expected to have a feedback on these comments hopefully before the end of this week. Actually, I'm going to let, I believe Guillermo is on the line, and I'm going to let him discuss and talk about this a little further. Guillermo?
Yes, Jamal, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everybody. Yes, this PRR has been lingering there for too long, and we apologize for that delay. There were many moving pieces at any time related to this area, and I think now that we have finally implemented the summer readiness initiative regarding the export and WILS priorities, we have everything settled and we can come and do a cleanup of this specific section and how that fits naturally with a reminder of the area. The different comments that we received were mainly related to clarification, how that works with other components of the priorities, and all these areas were eventually touched through the summary initiatives. So at this point, we are going to do a closure BPM language for this PRR that aligns with what we already have existing for the summer readiness. And we expect to have the response to all the comments. Some of them are going to be references to material that we already discussed because some questions were actually regarding more clarification, explanations, how this would work. And much of that has been explained through different efforts that we initiated as early as last November. So we will put all this together for your reference and provide an answer to each specific question and comment that we receive. There was one recent comment regarding a request for providing additional information when the ROC process is projecting curtailment of exports. And the request was to provide information such that the sinking balancing area can know about that export curtailment. I think the answer to that request is going to be that at this point, right now, we are discussing for the longer-term solution an initiative regarding the exports and the WILS and priorities, that is the forward scheduling. We are going to pass that request to that initiative because right now there is an item in that initiative regarding transparency. So we believe that request falls very nicely in that effort so we can track it in there. In that sense, the PR for this specific item of September 5th can be put to closure once we provide the clarifications and the clean language that we expect to have this week. Let me see if we have any comments or follow-ups.
As a reminder, if you have questions, if you're on the phone only, please hit #2. If you're in the WebEx, please use the raise hand icon above the chat in the lower left right corner of your screen.
Okay, thank you. That's all what I have, Jiman.
Thank you, Hermo.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you both, Guillermo and Jamal, for that. The next BPM PRR review monthly meeting will be held on September 28th at 11 a.m. If you have any questions, you may send us an email at bpm_cm@CAISO.com. That concludes our call today. We hope you all have a great day, and please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.